Hello everyone and welcome back to Kali Call of Darkness, this time with episode 6 of season 1. Amala visits the library to study religious texts and figures out the killer's motives. I'm so intrigued to find out what this is all about. Episode 6, The Left-Hand Path. I called the library ahead of time to ask how to get a library card. They have to get a library card. They promised to help me with that, but only once the person in charge returned from their break. It's so bizarre that someone specific is needed for such a simple procedure. But maybe they have their own rules here. We'll see. For me, it sounds a little sus. I was so engrossed in my thoughts that I didn't even notice how I ended up in a very familiar alley. Girl, are her legs taking her to the crime scene? My legs seem to have brought me here on their own. This is where Amir's body was discovered. I looked around uneasy. The police tape at alley's entrance had already been removed. Even though it's been cleaned up, this place still makes me nauseous. Being here is, I would say, scary. Why pretend to be strong? It's so bloody uncomfortable being here. Just imagine that somewhere around here there's someone who can calmly cut off a person's head. No, I'm not staying here another second. I quickly moved on, walking away from that cursed alley. I needed to get in a taxi as quickly as possible so that I could get somewhere clean and crowded. The drive to the library was short. The taxi driver entertained me with a lively conversation, telling me where I should go and what I should see while in Calcutta. But he fell silent as soon as he found out where I came from. Up to that point, the man was sure that I was from another Indian state. As soon as the driver learned that I lived in London, confusion appeared on his face, and he chose not to continue our conversation. Now that's rude. Just because I'm not a native doesn't mean that... no matter. Sadly, that's a normal thing nowadays. By the time I got to the library, the person in charge of issuing library cards had already arrived. I opened the door and almost ran into a young man. Amalakan, I suppose. Ah, yes. Hello, Miss Khan. My name is Manu. I'll help you with your paperwork, as well as teach you how to navigate the library. Oh, that'd be brilliant, thank you. Without another word, Manu motioned me to follow him and then headed further down the corridor. I obeyed, feeling slightly surprised. He was waiting for me right at the door. Like I said. Oh, that's creepy. I didn't even get a step inside before he addressed me. He also recognized me right away, so weird. You recognized me so easily. I decided to talk to him. It wasn't very difficult. The young man continued walking without turning back to me. Trust me, it's obvious who you are and where you came from. What a brilliant deduction. You are sus, my friend. You're sus. There is something about what you say and how you say it that doesn't make any sense to me. Any desire to talk with him disappeared, so I silently and obediently did what I was told. I showed the necessary documents, filled out some forms, and waited for a while. Manu returned with a small piece of paper and handed it to me. All done, miss. Here's your temporary library card. Manu spoke to me in English. A bizarre blend of English and Hindi. Same. I do that on a daily basis with English and German. Yeah. This made me smile. You can talk to me in Hindi if you wish. I do speak the language. You said you'd help me, right? Yes, our library is so huge that you wouldn't be able to find your way around on your own. You could hear in his delighted voice that he was proud about it. Yes, this library seems truly enormous. It must be difficult to navigate it. That's right, but I know everything here. I'm looking for books on Shaivism, Scatism, and Vaishnavism. Anything about symbolism, pujas, practices. Quite a wide range of topics. Anything more specific? I shook my head. What's the reason for this particular search, if I may ask? Perhaps I'll be able to help. I cast a doubtful glance toward the young man. No. I just need to know more about it. Manu hesitated for a moment, then sighed heavily. I'll walk you to the correct section and stay there with you to help. If you have any specific question, I will be happy to answer. Are you really that good at this? Good enough. The majority of my workday is spending studying such text. If you have a lot to do, maybe you shouldn't stay with me? It's okay, Miss Khan. It's part of my job anyway. I'm in charge of the section where we're heading. Manu led me along a wide, light-filled corridor. This man is so sus, people. The library was vast, multi-leveled, spacious, and lined with countless bookshelves. Oh, wow. Perhaps I should ask him about the topics that interest me while we walk. I know the basic theological ideas, but perhaps I'll learn something new. Any information would be useful, she says. You know what? Ask him. May I ask you a few questions while we're on our way there? Of course. What would you like to know? Can you please tell me about... Oh my god. Let's start with Shaktism. Briefly, just what you know. Shaktism is the worship of Sakti, the great mother goddess. But if translated literally, Shakti is not a goddess. Yes, if you know Sanskrit, you know that Shakti is more of an energy than a person. Shaktism honors and elevates the feminine energy as something life-giving and sacred. However, like all energy in Hinduism, it has an avatar, a face. As a result, Shakti is often depicted as the goddess and wife of Shiva. Mrs. Chauhan mentioned it too. Shiva and Shakti are inseparable. Her energy fills him and brings him to life. They are masculine and feminine, right? That's correct. Shakti also takes on other forms, including Durga, Kali, Parvati, and other goddesses. Durga Puja and Kali Puja are religious holidays honoring two incarnations of the same goddess. Can you please tell me about Shaivism? A rather popular denomination here in Calcutta. Shiva, the god in whose honor the cult was created, is one of the Hinduism's three primary gods. These are Brahmas, Vishnu, and Shiva. In some versions of Shaivism, it is believed that he is the main god among others. Therefore, Shaivism is also a very large branch of Hinduism. Shiva can be considered a dual god. He brings destruction and peace, raucous fun, and humble seclusion. One of his incarnations is responsible for dancing, the other for quiet solitude in the mountains. Shiva often appears as a young handsome man, bringing along the destruction the world needs. The destruction the world needs. What? Parvati, his wife, is the physical manifestation of Shakti, the feminine energy. Therefore, Shaktism and Shaivism are closely related. Shiva represents masculine energy, while Parvati represents feminine energy. Can you please tell me about Vaishnavism? This is one of the largest emanations of Hinduism, isn't it? Yes, it is the cult of the god Vishnu. Do you know anything about him? I know he's part of the Vedic triad. In Hinduism, the three main gods are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, plus their wives. That's right. Vaishnavism is a denomination of Hinduism and dedicated to Vishnu. He maintains order and tranquility, and has saved our world from total collapse more than once. Vishnu has the ability to manifest himself in various forms or avatars. When the world is in danger, Vishnu takes on an avatar and comes down to earth to help us. Krishna and Rama are two of his avatars that are most widely worshipped. I remember that his final avatar, the warrior, will be the Messiah, the herald of the end of the world. Yes, and the beginning of a new world. Thanks for clearing everything up. Okay, that was interesting, but I already knew most of it. You have a very inquisitive mind, Miss Gunn. You're trying to obtain more information, and that's commendable. Okay. It better be commendable since I have to spend so many gems. Let me stop. Smart women are amazing. Wisdom is a very valuable virtue. And I got respect. Okay. I didn't really say anything. But you are curious and you want to learn more. It's the craving for knowledge that is wonderful. Okay, sir. Not long after we arrived at the section of the library we needed, Manu looked around thoughtfully, wondering which bookshelf to start with. What did you say you were interested in? Symbols and tantras? Maybe the Samhitas? Any text that describe religious practices and principles. Okay, I understand. The young man began looking through the shelves, searching for relevant books. I looked around, studying the sections we were in. It was just a moment ago that we were walking across a massive library hall, and now we were standing in such a secluded area. Here, look through this. Manu emerged from the shelves, holding a small stack of volumes in his hands. Wow. Oh, so heavy. I placed the books on the table and proceeded to sort through them. Interpretation of the Brahma Samhita, the original Brahma Samhita, Pankaratra, Pradipa, as well as interpretation of the Pankartra Pardipa. I'm so sorry, these words are literally a tongue twist for me. The interpretations are in English, while the originals are in Sanskrit. I thought aloud as I leafed through each book. Yes, I took the liberty of giving you Bengali Vishnu Samhitas. Raising my head, I met Manu's gaze. You seem to be interested in the kinds of Hinduism popular here in Calcutta. Well, yes. Thank you so much. How comes you're being so helpful? You're wasting your time on me despite having your job waiting for you. Manu laughed. He looked friendlier now compared to 15 minutes ago. You are my job. Really? I was asked to help you and look after you. That's why I was the one who issued your library card. What did I do to deserve special treatment? I don't know. Maybe it's because you're a foreigner? Or because you're from London? Or maybe because you have some kind of special clearance? It was my turn to laugh now. I see, but I've only come to read the text and I have no hidden agenda. Do you know Sanskrit? Not as well as Hindi, but I can read and understand some of it. Were you born in India? No, but I did study Indiology. I don't have much experience, though. So I can't even imagine why I was chosen for a task force. KILLIAN said that someone vouched for me, but that's nonsense. Okay, I'll start with the interpretations of Samhita. There should be something useful there. We both fell silent and I began reading. To be honest, it seems like Bengali Vaishnavism is not what I need. Vishnu is the deity of peace and tranquility. Who would think of committing all those atrocities in his honor? Although I wonder whether it's worth looking for logic in the actions of someone who is willing to cut off heads. That was funny. But it's true though. Like, do we really want to understand the logic of someone that is happy with cutting off heads? Some time went by. There were no other visitors in this section, so Manu decided to sit down next to me. He started talking while leafing through the books. I see you're no longer reading about Bengali Vaishnavism. Are you no longer interested in it? I just think it's not what I need. So you are looking for something specific after all. You can tell me about it. I'm very well versed in religious text. It could help me a lot, but what if he starts telling people about it? I don't... She is a little bit paranoid. I mean, after what he said, I would be a little careful too. But I mean, her thinking, yeah, he's gonna tell people about it. Like, who would care enough about what you do? Maybe I should scare him or ask him to keep his mouth shut. Fine, I just keep this conversation a secret. I strongly suggest you keep silent about the subtle threatening. The subtle threat. Oh, I can't. The subtle threat. Keep your mouth shut. Got it? Please don't tell anyone about it. Keep this conversation a secret. I have the feeling that keep this conversation a secret is like making something bigger out of something that... Please don't tell anyone about this. It's important to me that everything I say remains between the two of us. I'm sure you wouldn't share this with anyone, but I must remind you how important confidentiality is to me. Woo! Loyalty, okay. Of course, Miss Ghana wouldn't discuss this with other people. Someone else's religious interests are a secret I will keep. I gave him a friendly smile. I nodded gratefully, folding my hands on the table. I won't be fully honest anyway. I have no idea what's going on in his head. What if he just decides to spill the beans? Girl! Why ask him to keep it quiet if you're not gonna say anything either way? I will only discuss what's necessary without going into too much detail. I'm interested in a symbol that I didn't find in any book so far. Maybe you know something about it. Sure, show it to me. Manu pulled out from his pocket a pencil and a small notepad, which was scribbled all over. He tore a page from it and handed it to me, together with the pencil. I quickly drew the symbol found at the crime scene from memory. Manu took the page from my hands and began to study the symbol. Out of habit, I began to stare at his face, expecting some kind of hidden reaction. Manu frowned at first and pressed his lips together in a tight line. This is a rather unusual symbol, and what kind of expression is that? It never really comes up because, well, let's just say it's non-canonical. Really? Oops. I did not mean to skip that. I'm so sorry. And here they're depicted together. What does that mean? Some kind of strength, power? Something like that, but not really. The sun is the personification of power and strength. The moon is the personification of wisdom, prudence, and tranquility. And together they're two halves, two opposites. Opposites? In Hinduism it sounds like feminine and masculine. Oh. Such a simple but important guess suddenly shed light on an essential part of my questions. So should I take a closer look at Shaktism and Shaivism? But the symbol must have another explanation. The crescent moon is considered an attribute of Shiva, isn't it? Yes, that's right. However, it's often attributed to Shakti, that is, to some forms of Parvati, the wife of Shiva. I buried my head in my hands. Hinduism can be very confusing sometimes. To understand better, it's worth taking a closer look at certain books. But we don't have all of them here at the library. He motioned for me to follow him and headed down another corridor. Let's look in another section. Okay. As we walked, Manu continued, there are some interpretations of the Tantra, but they don't reflect all of the details, unlike the source material. There's a lot of unique information to be found in the Sanskrit originals. And where can I find these originals? Pretty much nowhere, or at least not here. Oh, just brilliant. I'm sorry, but some private collectors try to keep their originals away from people. Well, too with why? Some believe that people in the lower castes are forbidden to read and know about secret religious practices. Bruh. But I'm not in a lower caste. I don't belong to any caste. I would say that makes you part of the lower caste. Perhaps that's even worse. Literally what I just said. It makes it even worse. Hidden important details about the Samhitas and Tantras from outsiders could also be their goal. Bro. I sighed in disappointment, looking down at the floor. I was irritated by how hard it was to gather snippets of information. I had to grab onto every tiny detail, squeezing every little drop of knowledge out of it. Okay, I'll be fine with what I have. I'll find something else for you. I just nodded, lost in thought. Manu disappeared behind the shelves. How confusing. How can I figure out where to go next? I walked through the section, helped Manu in his search. I wandered aimlessly, occasionally stopping to look at various book spines lining the shelves. Crescent moon, sun, feminine energy, masculine energy, unity, power. Every thought began to get confused and tangled in my head, turning into a useless mess. What did I expect, though? Did I really think this investigation was going to be easy? Stop whining and keep working, Amala. You can't give up so quickly. I reached the dead end of the asile. Another bookcase lined with volume was propped up against the wall. I took a step closer and examined the books on the shelves. Interpretation of Tantra Sara. Wow. It'll be interesting to check it out. It's a pity that it's not the original, but Manu warned me about this. I reached for the spine to pull the book off the shelf, but to my surprise, it was covered in a thick layer of dust. I had to stand on my tiptoes to reach the book, but I hit my little toe in the process. Ouch! I doubled over and cursed quietly. How did I manage to hit a flat bookcase? Squatting down, I pressed my hand to my foot, which was throbbing in pain. My gaze accidentally fell to the ground, and that's when I noticed that the bookcase wasn't actually standing on the floor. It was slightly raised and stood on casters. Huh? Suddenly distracted from my pain, I took a closer look. I must have hit that bloody wheel. I turned around to look at the other bookcases. They were standing fully on the floor and had nothing below them. A wave of excitement took over me, and I enthusiastically began to study the unusual bookcase. While Manu was busy in another part of the section, I decided to entertain myself. Will I be able to move it? Otherwise, why would it even have wheels? I tried to pull the bookcase away from the wall, but it proved to be very difficult. For a good while, I tried my best to move it, but it was all in vain. I decided to give it one final go and yanked the bookshelf toward me with all my might, leaning against the wall with one foot. All of a sudden, my hand slipped and I fell to the floor with a loud crash. Nice. I barely escaped hitting my head, and I was left rubbing my achy tailbone. Another fall like this, and I won't be able to get up again. That's funny. Huh? I raised my head to look back to the bookcase, and I realized that I had actually managed to move it a little. Instantly jumping to my feet, I darted to the slight gap now visible behind it. To my surprise, the bookcase had budged a little, along with part of the wall forming a passage. Whoa, what's this? A secret door? It's like I'm in an Agatha Christie novel. Although, if you think about it, there's nothing strange about this. I believe this library used to be the home of prominent Bengali figure. There are usually many secret rooms in such buildings, but why does the National Library still have one? The thought of going inside promptly came to my mind. It was a silly, inappropriate, and, well, frightening thought. Why should I go to God knows where? Yet I decided to do it. It couldn't be helped. Should I let Manu know? After feeling if we let him know, he's gonna forbid it. Do not let him know. Independence, I won't. I'm sure he'll try to talk me out of it, or maybe even refuse to let me in. That he surely knows about this passage and is keeping it a secret on purpose. Without further hesitation, I dashed into the gap between the bookcase and the wall. The narrow, short corridor behind it was dark and musty. The air inside it was stuffy and damp. Ugh. However, I quickly walked through it, and then there it was. Oh, wow. As soon as I saw where I was, a gasp of admiration escaped my lips. It echoed across the spacious room, all lined with bookshelves. I looked around. The hall was about 1,000 square feet, and the furniture here was different from the rest of the library. Massive, expensive, and beautifully carved from natural dark oak. It must have cost a fortune to fill such a large room with such furniture. Oh wow, where did I end up? Can I just say, I think that these books are the originals. Like the original books where Mr. Manu told us that the creators didn't want some people to read the originals. I walked over to the nearest bookcase. Apart from luxurious sofas and thousands of books, there was nothing there. It seemed to be a continuation of the library, but a very special section. I immediately started wondering what kind of books were kept here. I began to read aloud. Dasha Mahavidya, interpretation of the Mahanirvana Tantra, and the original of the Mahinravana Tantra. Oh my, this is one of the sacred texts of Shaktism and Shaivism. It's an actual treasure. Overwhelmed with joy and excitement, I didn't hear the footsteps behind me. Someone's hand had touched my shoulder. Huh? Path of loyalty. I shrieked in terror, jumping out of my skin. Instinctively, I turned around, pressing my book against the bookcase. My frightening gaze shifted to Manu, who was still grabbing my shoulder. Why are you screaming? Because of you, everyone will come here now. What else could I have done? Hit you? Don't sneak up on me in a place like this. He let go of my hand and then shook his head. You must leave right now. How did you get in here? See? I came in through... I know that, but how did you find it? What is this place? What kind of hall is this? This is a private collection of a prominent Brahmin family. I am responsible for this section, and I keep the entrance safe from nosy fools like you. He did not actually say I'm a fool. Are the Brahmins allowed to have such wealth? People from Brahmin caste don't always follow in footsteps of their ancestors, okay? So this family bought the whole room from the library for their books. Yes, and you must get out of here immediately. Now. No. No. I slipped past Manu, making him even more annoyed. Don't you touch me? I wanted to inspect, touch, and study everything here. I got into a unique secret room where members of the highest caste kept their personal collection of books. Miskan. What? Manu chased me down and tried to drag me out of the room. Oh, hell no. Path of loyalty. Manu caught up with me and put his hand on my shoulder, looking scared. Please, Miss Khan, we must leave immediately or we'll be in trouble. I took his hand in mine in response, pleading with him. Manu, please, I beg you, give me just a little bit of time. I'm in desperate need of information, and I'm sure you can help me. I'm working on something important, and I need to see the originals in order to do it properly. It will only take a few minutes if you help me. I can't. Please, you've got to understand that I will lose my job. We won't be punished. We'll do it quickly and leave. The young man looked hesitant and upset. Maybe he wanted to help me, but was too afraid to do so. He let go of me and started biting his nails nervously. Miss Khan, but this, I can't. You can if you do everything quickly and quietly. That's funny. After a short internal struggle, Manu finally took pity on me. Fine. I can't believe I'm really saying this. Let's go quickly and no nonsense. I just want to know the book, sir. I wanted to scream with joy, but Manu would have certainly killed me if I actually did. Without wasting time, I decided to start searching. Look for the originals. Manu interrupted me. I know exactly what to look for, and I wish I didn't. So dramatic. Don't touch anything here. Manu, why so dramatic? You already allowed me. He muttered under his breath, irritated. Reckless girl. Thank you. For a few moments, Manu frantically searched for something on one of the shelves. Then he pulled out a large and somewhat battered tome, his hands trembling with reverence. Here. He was staring at the book in awe. I think there are many answers inside this, but if someone finds out that I even touched it, they will have my head. Your head? Interesting way of putting it. Yes, I will be severely punished. What kind of book is this? Manu carefully put the tome down on the oak table and gently ran his hand over the cover. This is a treasure. Vamakarabhava. This tantra is about the world's existence through the lens of Shaktism. I never heard of this. Do you think the owners of such treasure would announce it left and right? Answer calmly. Well, calm. It's probably very old and valuable. And you still let me look at it even read it? You truly are helpful. It's not about you. I've long dreamed of at least looking at it a little closer. Since I'm here and I'm risking it all because of you, I might as well do this too. I could see Manu's eyes glisten when he looked at the book. As a true bibliophile, he knew the value of such an ancient text. Spending his days in the library guarding this private section, he probably saw the owners take this book out more than once. Manu, having read and reread all religious texts he was interested in, must have been dying of curiosity. He dreamed of at least glancing at Vamakarabhava and of course of reading it. It was understandable. As a last resort, I'll blame everything on you. I was about to object and put the young man in his place when he cut me off by reading a line from the book in Sanskrit. Yikes, sir. Those who know both birth and death by means of destruction, having crossed death, achieve immortality through birth. There is a part entirely consisting of Yayusir. Are Yayus the Vedic texts containing mantras for sacrifice? Yes, and these texts are used for any sacrifice ritual. Resigning yourself and accepting death as an honor. That's what the mantra says, right? Yes, accept death and attain immortality of the soul. Some of these mantras are very dark. So Vamakarabhava is black tantrism of the left hand? It's a cult of the feminine principle, which is sometimes called the left hand path. Okay. It's not true that the left hand path consists of only dark tantras. Saying that the right hand, the masculine path of Shiva, is good and the left hand, the feminine path of Shakti, is bad. That's nonsense. Do they still teach you that left tantra are bad and dangerous? No, but it must be hard for you without actual practice. He keeps on shaming us. Well, remember, left hand tantrism is not always dark text, although some of them are quite gloomy. But more often it's because of the cult of Kali or Durga. Tell me about it. What's written there? The brutal murder and symbolism are most likely related to the dark tantras, which makes sense. Oh, so this is what you're interested in. Dark practices? I'm not sure, but I think so. Kaula Shaktism, the worship of the Dark Mother, will interest you then. The Dark Mother is Kali, right? Yes, the violent manifestation of Devi, the feminine manifestation of God. Oh, okay. Let's look at one legend to see what it's all about. It's in this book. I still can't with the fact that he said, yeah, I'm gonna throw you to the fishes. The birth of Great Mother. It's not about the dark side of the mother, but you should hear it before continuing. Tell me... I am done with the gems. Tell me in detail. I want to know everything.
As an ideologist, I think you know this story very well, but there are details here that you can't find anywhere else. I'm all ears. So the legend of the Mahashivaratri festival, about the sacred union of Shiva Shakti and the birth of goddess Parvati. Okay. Shiva's first wife was called Sati. She was Devi, the female form of God in Hinduism. One day, Shati's father, Daksha, organized a Jayina, but he didn't invite Sati and Shiva. Yajna is a ritual sacrifice. Okay. Daksha and Shiva had a tense relationship. But sweet Sati wanted to go and went to the Jaina alone. However, the father ignored his daughter and did not even offer prasadam to Shiva, the sacred offering of food to God as an expression of love and devotion. He didn't pay due respect to Shiva and the beloved husband of Sati. Sati was so insulted and heartbroken that she could no longer live. She rushed headlong into the fire of Yajna. This is where the Sati rite takes its name from. When a widow after the death of her husband follows him into the funeral pyre. Shiva, hearing about his wife's death, was angry and heartbroken. He was sad to live alone without his beloved Sati. He immediately appeared at the scene of the tragedy, the Jaina of Dashka, and took his wife's body in his arms. I'm sorry, how is he supposed to be taking her into his arms if she literally ran into the flames, like she burned? What would he be taking? Her ashes? Like she burned. What is he supposed to be taking? What is he gonna take from there? Shiva began to perform the Rudra Tadava dance, the dance of destruction. He said, shame will fall upon all of you. Oh my god. He destroyed Daska's domain. Ooh! Everyone was scared because Shiva had such power. He could destroy the universe with his dance. Vishnu, the second god of the Vedic triad, came to the rescue. He split Sati's body into 12 parts and scattered them all over the world. The places where each piece fell became holy. And Shiva, saddened by loneliness, went to the Himalayas and practiced asceticism and meditation. In the family of the god of Himalayas, Sati was reborn in a new body as Parvati. Parvati wanted to return to her beloved Shiva, but it was very difficult to interrupt his meditation. So she asked Kamadeva, the god of love and passion, for help. Kamadeva told Parvati to dance in front of Shiva to get his attention. Parvati began her dance, and Kamadeva shot an arrow of passion at Shiva. Then Parvati undertook an even more serious ascetic practice and was finally able to attract the attention of her beloved. What is this? Through her devotion and love, Parvati remarried Shiva. So technically, we're an avatar. Sorry. Like, technically, we're an avatar. Like, from Avatar, The Last Airbender. We keep on incarnating. Like, there is the incarnation. But I want to believe that it's something like this. It's a reincarnation, but that God didn't reincarnate into another person's body, but into herself. Like, she died and then she was born again. And that every single time she died, you know what I mean? Like, she dies and then she is born the second after somewhere else in the world as herself. That's what I would like to believe. I suddenly realized that I was spellbound listening to Manu this entire time. Yes, I knew this legend, but not in such detail. To understand how and why the Dark Mother was born, you need to know about the birth of Parvati, her peaceful manifestation. As the mother of all phenomena, a being she creates, preserves, and destroys the universe. He was reading aloud. She is the energy of the Triaya Shiva. Creates, preserves, and destroys. Such power. Manu suddenly looked at the door through which we entered the room. I think I heard voices. Really? I'll go check it out. He quickly headed toward the corridor. I was left waiting. I hope there's no one there. I want to study Vakma Bhavam in more detail. Manu reappeared a few moments later, rushing straight to the book. There are visitors in this section. We need to put everything back and get out of here. But really? We didn't get the information I need. Manu was no longer listening to me. He closed the tome and rushed to the shelf to put it back. Come on, Miss Khan, you promised me. Yes. I looked around in confusion, feeling annoyed at the realization that I didn't do everything I could have done. My gaze fell on the first bookcase I had approached. Maybe I can steal something. There are so many books here. Who will even notice? I think he would. Manu finished putting everything back and immediately walked towards the exit. Come on. I followed him. When Manu disappeared into the corridor, I had quickly 3 seconds to make up my mind. I will not steal, but borrow. But which one? So you can't even decide, I'm not going to take it. Now, you're going to take something. The original of Mahavina Tantra, the interpretation of the Mahavina Tantra. I would say the original because we love the original. I'll take this one. This is an incredibly important text. They will definitely notice that it's missing, but I really do need the original. Besides, I will return it later. This choice will affect the future. Oh my god, people. I started a mess again. I deftly fished out the book from the shelf and hid it in the folds of my clothes. It's definitely insanely thick. And what if Manu gets in trouble because of me? Oh, yes, I know it's not right. Sliding into the passage, I left the private section running after Manu. Why? When we left, the young man, using all his strength, closed the passage to the corridor. Oh, God. I know you're disappointed, but we couldn't stay any longer. I understand. Do they come often? The owners of this private section? No, fairly rarely. But someone else could have noticed us. Have you really never been in there before today? No, I didn't have the nerve to go in, but I see that you're different. May I ask you a question? Of course. If you're an Indologist, then you already knew a lot of what I told you today. Did you really need my help? A lot of responsibilities fell on my shoulders right after graduation. I didn't have the opportunity to work as an Indologist due to family reasons. Taking care of my family and running a business gradually began to replace any other knowledge in my head. I know a lot, but not as much as experienced Indologists. I needed your help. Well then, is there anything else I can help you with? Besides breaking and entering? No, thank you. I said goodbye to Manu, thanking him for everything. He told me that it was a pleasure meeting me, despite the fact I was insane in his exact words. Despite the fact that I was, in his exact words, insane. Wow. Manu also kindly added that if I wanted to visit again, I should contact him. That's what we agreed on. She literally caused him so much trouble. When I returned home, it was already dark. I said hello to my hosts, dined with them, and also called KILLIAN. The day was coming to an end, and I was completely exhausted. I hid my stolen treasure and collapsed on the bed. Thoughts coiled in my head, reflections lingered, and I gradually drifted off. I ended up falling into a deep sleep for the first time in several days. My night was serene. I woke up early the next morning. The excitement that I felt at the thought of the book made me jump out of bed. Let me guess it's not there anymore. After washing and finally waking up, I began to get ready for the day. Mrs. Chauhan, beaming with joy, told me that she had several wonderful saris ready for me. At this point in time, I'm gonna go with this because I'm tired of spending so much gems on outfits. Look at this. I'm gonna go with that sari because that sari was beautiful. Then, wanting to add a little something more to my look, I thought of a nose ring. The girls here often wear one, and it looks incredibly beautiful. No. I suck, but hey. Let's pay for the nose ring. I put on my wonderful outfit and twirled in front of the mirror. What a beautiful girl, so pretty. My self-esteem is on a roller coaster. It goes up and down and up and down. Me. After admiring myself for a moment longer, I had a quick breakfast and returned to my room. I was eager to read the book, learn all the fascinating details, and completely immerse myself in my work. A couple of minutes after I had started, Sana knocked on the door. She looked inside, about to tell me something, and then she saw what I was holding in my hands. Miss Khan, where did you get this? Shh! No need to shout about it. The maid stepped inside, keeping her dark eyes on the book. My Nirvana Tantra, what did you get yourself into? What did I get myself into? Where did you get this book, and why did you get it? Be careful with Yamakara. The left path has many sides, and not all of them are in the light. I was about to answer, but Bianca's voice came from the outside the door. Sana, what are you still in here? Why are you still in here? I hastily covered the book with a pillow before she entered the room. We both smiled at Mrs. Chauhan, but her conspiratorial looks could not escape her attention. What are you doing here? Sana helped me with the pile of my sari. I haven't gotten used to it yet. Amala, please go down to the living room. Why? Just do it. Sana, you stay here with me. I decided not to argue and obey my host. With one last glance at Sana, I left the room and headed for the stairs. To my surprise, Killian was standing in the middle of the living room with his hands clasped behind his back. Good morning, Amala. Oh, yes, good morning. I didn't expect to see him here at all. Actually, I felt embarrassed. After what happened in the conference room, my ears turned red every time I looked at him. How are you doing? I'm fine. Would you like to have a seat? Killian nodded curtly as he sat down on the soft sofa. I sat down next to him, neatly straightening my sari. Do you have something to tell me? Sort of. I wanted to talk to you about work. Fine, so what about it? Killian took a deep breath, as if collecting his thoughts. He was staring at the floor, biting his lip. I tensed a little, afraid to hear bad news. Being near Killian made me feel nervous and excited at the same time. I wanted to tell you something, Amala. I hope this won't change anything. You're scaring me. Finally, Killian looked up at me. I'm interested in you. Ooh. Thank you. Sold? I would say very, very interested. Oh, don't worry, me too. Don't worry, me too. After a brief pause, Killian added, so we need to keep our distance from each other. I'm sorry? Would you like to repeat that? We're getting closer, and this will negatively affect our work. What do you mean, sir? Killian spoke calmly, quietly, and thoughtfully, but his soft half-whisper caused an instant wave of emotions inside of me. Is this really what you wanted to say? Yes. So I don't have anything else to add. I felt as if iced water had just been poured on my head. Confusion, surprise, and disappointment. That. I see. Fine. There was a note of bitterness in my voice that I couldn't get rid of. Good. So I didn't have to read that to know how to say it. Okay. I got up from the couch, about to leave. Looking at Killian's calm face felt like torture. I hate people that are capable to do something like this, that are capable to tell you something calmly, literally masking the fact that they are dying on the inside. Teach me your ways, sir. And you opened up to him, stupid girl. He got up too. Amara, wait, hear me out. No. What else do I need to hear? Don't be like that. Let's talk calmly. What? Talk calmly? You literally just told me that I have to keep my distance from you, so I decided to start doing that right away. He insisted. Stay. I tried to calm down, clenching my hands into fists and taking a deep breath. Maybe I still wanted to listen to him, in spite of the roaring pain inside me. I muttered, Fine. Slowly sitting back down, I reluctantly looked at him. He also sank back onto the sofa. Thank you. I wanted to tell you everything honestly, as it is, because I respect you. It's important for me to keep my focus on work. It takes all my energy, but I often find myself thinking about you. And do you actually believe that if we keep our distance that it's gonna stop, we still have to work together? Well, I should be thinking about the case. What was the point of that conversation in the conference room then? Why did you support me? Talk to me. How could I not be here for you, Amala? That's the problem. I got so nervous when I saw you so upset, insecure, lost. I don't know. It unsettled me. You are worried. You're worried about us. I've been thinking about you all evening. Oh, that's so cute. You aren't just interested in me, you're already in love at this point. Let me stop. It's difficult for me to concentrate on anything else. And I realized I can't do this. I can't be torn between you and my responsibilities. Sir, then I really am wondering how you will react once you get married. Like, where will you have the time to find a girlfriend? But I wasn't asking for much. I don't want to give you just a little bit. I want to give you everything. Wow. But here in Calcutta with this confusing case, we just can't afford that everything. My chest felt heavy, painful. I wanted to understand Killian and agree with his words, but I couldn't. The disappointment and pain that blurred my vision suddenly began to speak instead of me. Do you think I'll let you treat me like that? Pull me closer or push me away whenever you fancy it? Amala, calm down. I can't stand y'all. I can't stand you. How can you say calm down after you keep on making... How can you be like this? I'm calm and I'm leaving. To hell with this. You're right. We don't need this. He's gonna come after us. I just know it. Feeling my blood boil, I angrily dashed out of the living room. There was pain somewhere deep beneath this anger, because I dared to believe that I could trust him. Behind my back, I heard Killian get up from the couch. My heart pounded faster when I thought that he might want to catch up with me. Let him leave. What is this? People, how many gems have I spent this episode? Above 50. I had 110, I think. Let him. My poor gems, they're melting away like sand. Let me stop. As I approached the stairs, Killian gently caught my hand. I turned sharply to him, flushed with resentment. What do you want? Let's not do it like this. We still have to work together. Should have thought about that before. You should have thought about... I can't.
I can't. Oh my god, she's me right now. Oh god. You should have thought about it before. I roughly snatched back my hand out of Killian's fingers, looking away. Words did not come, stuck somewhere in my throat. This was a lump I couldn't swallow. Amala. What? He spoke more quietly, his low voice sounding velvety and hoarse. He took one step closer to me, and his hand reached me. I shook my head, trying to shake off my feelings for him. It didn't work. I don't need these mind games. I met his gaze, gray eyes in which a thunderstorm was brewing. It was hard to understand what he really wanted. To get away from me or to get closer? This uncertainty tormented me. After thinking that maybe I could share my experiences with Killian, returning to the reality of being all alone was a horrible feeling. Why did it have to come to this? I didn't mean to. Believe me, Amala, I didn't mean to. His large hand softly slid to my cheek and gently caressed me. He looked at me spellbound with awe, as if I were precious to him. I looked up at him. I wanted to free my hand from his grasp. And instead, I leaned forward, just a little, barely an inch. But this tiny space was everything. This inch swept away all the obstacles that we tried to build between us. It was enough for Killian to understand what I wanted. He leaned toward me, took my chin with his fingers, and kissed me. Okay. Like I said, I'm always a sucker for opposites attract. That's so funny. He kissed me despite all he had just told me, simply because he wanted to. It became a point of no return for us. Hundreds of butterflies fluttered in my stomach. Killian kissed me gently, slowly, as if he expected me to push him away at any moment. I stood up on my tiptoes so that he didn't have to bend down, and timidly parted my lips in response. I gently grazed the hand with which he was touching me. My movement drew a sudden sigh of pleasure from his lips. His kiss grew bolder and more persistent, as long-awaited and impossible to resist as it was. I caught his breath with my lips, melted in his incredible scent. I enjoyed this moment of devotion to me and me alone. He didn't dare to hug me or touch me where I could consider it inappropriate. Killian only touched me with his lips, holding his fingers on my chin. It was hard to imagine that such a big, strong, serious-looking man could be so soft and gentle. So open to me. Only made things worse. Nah. You helped my heart, sir. A hoarse whisper hit my lips. You did what you wanted to do. He looked me in the eye. Pain and pleasure were intertwined on his face. The gravity of the decision and the joy of being closer to me. It seemed as if the more obstacles grew between us, the less distance separated us. Amala, it will hurt us even more. I just shook my head. I liked standing so close to him, and I liked seeing the real him. Not sensible and cold like at work, but sensual and kind like now. If you didn't want to, you wouldn't have kissed me. He pulled away from me, covering his mouth with his hand and looking away. Silence, Killian. Silence. He looked disoriented. Taking a few more steps away from me, he muttered, I'd better leave now. It's the right thing to do. Before I could say anything, Killian opened the front door and disappeared into the street. Sir. And I was left standing alone, flushed, confused, not sure what to do. Silently heading up the stairs, I tried to calm down my blushing face. When I got to the second floor, Sana and Mrs. Chauhan had already left my room. Sana looked slightly anxious. What's going on? Oh, Mala, you're already here. Everything's fine, Miss Khan. Really? Yes, I'm just a little worried. Why? Miss Chauhan intervened. Sana's wedding will be earlier than we thought. It's time for us to start preparing for the big day. All right. What a nice episode. So we learned a bit about the religions. And I have to say, I kind of find it interesting. Especially
the gem choice where we learned about Kali. And yeah, I'm intrigued to find out what happens next. We finally kissed. If this boy is trying to step back at work, I'm gonna murder him. And yeah, that was it for today. And I will see you in another video. Bye.